friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor. It is 10 o'clock at night, and let's talk about the books that I read this last month in February of 2026. Let's get into it. All right, friends, let's jump into it quick because, like I said, it's late, I'm tired, and we've got fun things to talk about. So let's talk about one of the first things that I read for this month, which was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This was actually a lot cuter than I thought it was going to be. I did end up enjoying this. I did listen to majority of it on audiobook, and then about the last third ended up finishing physically with the book. I liked it. I get people's gripe with it because of the way it's written. I was a little annoyed with how book talk-esque this book is. By that I mean, it's just it feels very juvenile in a lot of ways. And I feel like this is an adult or marketed as an adult novel or like a not young adult, what's the new adult type of genre. It's cute. I love the plot. I love the characters. I loved the setting for this. It wasn't a perfect book by any means, but I did enjoy it. I do want to continue on in the series. I loved Evie and the villain's dynamic. I liked, again, the world, the way that the cast of characters came together. They were all unique and memorable. The plot twist at the end did get me a little bit. So yeah, I think I want to continue on in this series. This one was a cute one and a good way to start off February. Next, let's talk about a quick novella that I read. This is Nine Goblins by T. Kingfisher. This was one of her original books that I think this was one of her first adult novels that got published and then got republished this year as a new bind-up because I think this one was originally self-published. Regardless, this one was super cute. Again, it follows the very traditional T. Kingfisher novella style. The characters of this were super cute, really memorable. I'm really enjoying her stuff now that I've finally kind of gotten into that world, and she kind of does the fairy tale on its head type of dynamic. Really cute. The characters, again, were super memorable with this. This essentially follows a elf and a group of goblins that get kind of thrown into a situation together and they have to kind of figure it out. It was really cute. I liked it a lot. So yeah, if you guys want a really quick novella to kind of boost your numbers for the year, definitely recommend this one. Then let's talk about the one Kindle book that I read for this month, which was The Gingerbread Bakery. This one was so cute. I love all of the pumpkin spice world books. I think they're so cute. I love the story, the world, the characters all overlap. We got a sneak peek into who's going to be the next couple in the next book in the series. This one was cute because it follows a wedding of characters from somewhere else along the series. It just kind of feels like the story in the world has been built out so much that it's like returning to a memorable place. It feels and reads like a Gilmore Girls story. Laurie Gilmore just writes such adorable stories that I don't read a lot of romance, but every time she comes out with something, I've now put her on my automatic buy. And they're just such quick reads. I read this one in a couple of sittings. I get really hooked into it. It reads so fast. The spicy scenes are spicy. I enjoyed it. This one was kind of an enemies to lovers. I wasn't sure how they were going to kind of wrap this all together, but this one did a lot of like flashing back and forward in time, and I really enjoyed that dynamic. And yeah, this one I think was definitely one of my favorites for the month. So definitely recommend if you haven't checked out any of her books before. I did also just find out she's coming out with a fantasy romance later this year, which I'm very excited about. And the last thing that I ended up reading this month was Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. Guys, this book I think has been on my shelves for I think since 2019. Like, I've had this book sitting on my shelves waiting to be read. I've put it in so many of my books to read in whatever year, and I've just never gotten to it. And I was like, I'm sitting down, I'm finishing this book. I need to read this book. And you guys, I didn't like it. I'm so sad. I was obsessed with so for those of you that don't know, this is the author of the series that was the Ugly series that was like hugely popular when I was in high school. Massive series, loved that like world so much, but everything I've read from him outside of that series, I just haven't loved. So I wanted to pick this up. The concept to me sounded really intriguing. Essentially, it's about a girl named Darcy who writes this book called Afterworlds, and it follows her kind of going through the publishing process, doing rewrites, her world as she lives in New York, working on this draft of this book. And then the other parts of the book, very different world, is the actual story that she's writing. So both of the sections, if you guys can tell, are like the white is Darcy's section, the black is the actual story written in the perspective of Lizzie, her main character. Um, I did not like the story. It was super hard to follow in the sense that like the jumps were so dramatic, and I really liked the publishing version following the author so much better than the actual story. I think it was interesting. The dynamics were cool. It was interesting to see how she would talk about how she made edits, and then to see the edits later in the story were really interesting. But I just wasn't really that invested in anything with this, and it made me so bummed. Again, Darcy's story was the one I was probably the most interested in, just as that progressed throughout it, and her relationship and just her dynamics with what that looked like. But yeah, I just didn't really care. And it was a pretty quick read. It is YA, and the sections do go by pretty quickly. But yeah, probably like 2/3 in, I was like getting really over it, and I kind of had to force myself to finish it, which is so sad because again, this has been sitting on my shelves for so long. And you know what? At this point, at least I know I've read it. That's what this year is for. That's the main goal of this year, is to get books off my shelves that have been on there for too long and make room for some new ones. So we have accomplished it. Honestly, the fact that I finished this early on in the year, I'm thrilled about, because genuinely this was such an eyesore on my shelves for so long, and I just kept putting it off to read it. And I am bummed that I didn't like it as much as I hoped that I would. But that's what happens with reading. Not all of them are going to be a win, but overall, I did enjoy my reading for the month, so we'll end it on a good note there. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick reading wrap up for the month. If there's anything that you guys were excited about reading in February, let me know down in the comments below. I've got some fun stuff coming up for March. We also have my book club book that's coming up. I will be hosting for the month of March, which will be Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So that will be coming up as a wrap up. As well, since it's middle grade March, if you guys haven't seen my challenge and my TBR for the month of March, I always read middle grade in the month of March. So if you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check it out on my channel. But yeah, other than that, if you guys did like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more of my face, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!